Hello, welcome, and thank you for tuning in for our segment on tax identity theft, protecting yourself from thieves at tax time. Has anyone used your personal or financial information like your social security number or financial account number without your permission to commit fraud? If your answer is yes, you are likely a victim of identity theft. But what the heck is identity theft? Hi, my name is Linda Williams, and I'm a community outreach and training manager with Consumer Action. We are a national nonprofit educational and advocacy organization. Today, we partner with the Federal Trade Commission, the FTC, to observe Identity Theft Awareness Week and to bring you relevant and timely information about tax related identity theft, which is one of many forms of identity theft. It's tax season, y'all. And while you should be on guard against identity theft all year round, this form of identity theft is most common during the tax season. In fact, since COVID-19 pandemic hit us, tax-related identity theft has increased by 45%. So think about those families. There's so many families out there struggling who are looking forward to getting their tax return, that big lump sum money for a down payment for a car so they can get back and forth to work or to pay down debt or for a washer or dryer or another item that family may need. And then think about those thieves out there seeking to take that money, take that tax return from those families. So let's get started and let's talk about tax identity theft with Rosario Mendez. Let me tell you a little bit about her. Rosario is an attorney in the Division of Consumer and Business Education of the Federal Commission's Bureau of Education Consumer Protection. Her her work supports the agency's mission to protect all consumers from deception and unfair practice through law enforcement and consumer education. She has worked in developing and marketing many educational campaigns to help people avoid fraud. Uh, earlier, earlier in the introduction, I left hanging the question of what identity theft is. So, Rosario, please, could you tell our audience what identity theft is and explain how tax identity theft can occur and what consumers can do to reduce their risk of becoming a victim and what they can do if they become a victim of identity theft? Welcome, Rosario, and I'm giving you control so that you can take over.
Great. Thank you so much, Linda. And hi, everybody. Let's go on then to my first slide. Today, we're going to be talking, as Linda said, about what to know about tax identity theft. My name is Rosario Mendez, and I am with the Bureau of Consumer Protection of the Federal Trade Commission. Thanks, Linda, again, for introducing me to your audience. So Linda, this is first what I'm going to tell you what I'm going to cover today and in what order, so you have an idea of the things that I will be talking about. And if you have any questions at the end, you can also ask me. I'm happy to answer anything that you want me to. So today, first, I'm going to start with an overview of what is identity theft, because in order to understand tax-related identity theft, I think we need to cover what general identity theft is and how it happens. Then I'm going to cover some points to help people understand what is tax-related identity theft, how it happens, how you can reduce your risks, and how you can spot and avoid tax identity theft. And then at the end, I'm going to be talking about exactly what you can do if it happens to you. And I'll give you a hint here on this slide. Basically, go to identitytheft.gov and I'll go over what that is and what happens when you go to that website. And at the end, I'm going to give you some resources if you want to learn more about identity theft, and also if you want to share this information with people that you know and that you love, because identity theft really can happen to anybody, and the best way is to know about it and be on the alert. And I'll give you some tips on some advice on how to do that. So what is identity theft? Identity theft basically is when someone uses your personal or financial information without your permission. They might steal your name and address. They might steal your credit card. They might steal your bank account number, social security number, or even medical insurance account numbers. All of that information is valuable to thieves because they can then use that information to buy things with your credit card, for example, to get new credit cards or new accounts in your name. They can open phone, electricity, gas accounts in your name. They can use your health insurance to get medical care, pretending to be you. They can pretend to be you if they're arrested. That can cause a lot of trouble, right? If in your record you have some, arrest that you didn't really do anything, but someone else using your information got arrested, and that now is in the police records. And they can steal your tax refunds and do other things related to taxes, which is why we're here today to talk a little bit more about tax-related identity theft. So just to give you a sense of data, a lot of people like to know numbers. The Federal Trade Commission takes reports from consumers about problems they experience in the marketplace. It can be a scam, it can be a deception, an unfair practice by a business, something that they felt like the business was not, doing the right thing. So we take any complaint or any report that people want to tell us, any problem in the marketplace. And those reports are stored in what is called the Consumer Sentinel Network. And so that is a secure online database that is available to other law enforcement agencies, including federal agencies and state law enforcement agencies. And I can tell you, I don't have all the numbers in for 2022, but in 2021, the FTC got a 5.7 million reports, and identity theft was the top category of reports. And it's consistently in the top 3. If it's not the number 1, it's the number 2. So we do know that identity theft continues to be a problem. It's been a problem for a while, and it continues to be a problem. And we've seen that during the pandemic, it continues to be a problem. So that's why it's really relevant and very good that we're talking about this today, so that people learn more about how to avoid the risk. So now that I've talked a little bit about general identity theft, let's talk about tax identity theft and understand what that is. So tax identity theft is when someone uses your social security number to steal your tax refund or to get work, okay? So people often discover tax identity theft when they file for their tax returns. That's when they realize that there's a problem, okay? So I can tell you, you don't have to make a ton of money or have an amazing credit score to be exposed for tax identity theft, because the tax identity thieves, they make up your earnings. So your true wage earnings are irrelevant. Okay, the identity thieves make up the earnings when they make up a tax return using your personal information. So they lie about how much you make. Or they can also use your information to get a job. And then those earnings are recorded in your tax records. And then the IRS will want you to pay taxes on them, okay? Because the IRS thinks that you worked, those hours and that you make that much money. So now the IRS will want you to pay taxes on that. So all those forms of identity theft, can cause a lot of problems for people. Other forms of identity theft include someone claiming your children as their own dependents to get a tax benefit. And also thieves may also claim a tax refund using the information of someone who's passed away, someone who's been deceased. So let's talk about how they get the information. How do the identity thieves get your social security information and other data that they need in order to commit this fraud? The linchpin for tax identity theft is someone having your social security number. That's what they need in order to file taxes on your behalf or in order to get work using your information, right? So what you see on the screen are some of the more traditional low-tech ways that social security number can fall in the wrong hands. And that's why it's so important to always protect your information. So, for example, things like a lost or stolen wallet or purse and a smartphone, there's a lot of information on your phone. So it's really important to, we always recommend first that you don't carry your social security card in your wallet. There's really no need to do that. So that way, if your wallet or your purse is stolen, at least your social security card isn't there. In terms of your phone, we recommend that you lock your phone when you're not using it and create a PIN or a passcode to unlock it. That way it's harder for anyone to get information from it if it's lost or stolen or they find it. The feature that allows you to unlock your phone with your fingerprint or your retina or your face can also help protect. So, sometimes we recommend that people use those features in order to protect the information that's in their phone. Often, identity theft is a crime of opportunity, which means that it could be someone who's actually stealing your information. Someone, a visitor in your house, someone that it came to do something, a friend, if the information is available, there could be someone, that could take it. So that's why it's so important, even at home, to lock documents that have sensitive information, sensitive personal information. So make sure that you lock it and that you know who has access to it, okay, in your house. Dumpster diving is alive and well. We have seen this throughout the years, people actually looking at garbage cans to look for documents that have sensitive information. So it's better to shred everything that has, your social security number or your financial information. Just shred it instead of just throwing it in the garbage, because there are people looking at your garbage to try to steal that information. And finally, I would say be on the lookout for phony tax preparation services. And this is sometimes difficult to figure out. How do you know that is a bad person that you're going to see to help you with the taxes? Well, I'll tell you, if they say I can help you get a big refund, that you don't think that you didn't work that hard, you didn't have that much income, you think that is a lie. Then if that person is willing to lie, they probably are willing to also take your information and maybe use it to steal your identity. If they, for example, claim tell you that you can claim like an education credit that you didn't, you don't think that you're eligible for, or they tell you to lie about how many dependents you have. Things like that can alert you that this tax preparer is maybe a person that is dishonest and it could potentially use your personal information to do something like identity theft. So it's best to walk away if someone tells you to lie in your taxes. So now let's talk about some ways in which tax identity theft thieves try to get your information online, because that is also another way in which they can get your personal information. Identity thieves use a variety of sources and methods online. They could steal it from third parties, like stores, banks, online accounts. They do data breaches. So if they hack an account, or it's a data breach at a store where you have used your credit card or your financial information is stored there, that's how they can get your information. They can also create realistic emails and websites and text messages to try to trick you into sharing your personal information. And this is a phishing scheme. We have been seeing phishing schemes for a long time. A lot of phishing schemes try to get money, but they also try to get personal information to steal your identity. So the scammer might pretend, for example, to be from a business that you know and say that you have to click on a link to update your account information. Or they say that they are with the government They may say that they call and they say that they are with the IRS and that there is a problem with your refund, or that there's another problem that you have to give them your personal information in order for them to access your records. But those are all scams. The IRS will never call you to ask you for payment or for any information. So if someone calls you and says that they are from the IRS, you know that that is a scam. And I'm going to talk about imposter scams later on. Another way in which identity thieves can get your information online is through public Wi-Fi. So you can't control the network security that is on a public Wi-Fi. So you don't know if it's, if they are encrypting information or if it's completely open to everyone and anyone is seeing what you are transmitting on the internet while you are connected to a public Wi-Fi. So often people can see everything, and so you have to really be careful if you are connected to a public Wi-Fi. If you can, it's best not to do any transaction that has your personal information or your financial information. But it is even better if you can to use your own mobile data or a VPN to be sure that your information is protected. And that no one else can see the transactions that you are doing while you are online at that location. Downloading software from unknown sources can also be another source of information for identity thieves. For example, the things like peer-to-peer file sharing or downloading a software or application that, it turns out to have malware. Like if you don't know exactly where this is coming from, it's best to make sure that you research, any software that you want to download, or that you stick, to reviews and recommendations that you see about, softwares, because a lot of times, if it's an unknown source and you have no idea what you're downloading, it could be that you're exposing your information to an identity thief, or at the very least, you could be exposing your information to be sold to a third party that you don't even realize. So it's just best to be careful while you're online, and how are you accessing the internet and what kind of information you're sharing while you are online. So now let's talk a little bit about reducing, or what can you do to reduce your risk of identity theft. Some things that you can do in general is, using strong passwords. So when you create an account, it doesn't matter what kind of account it is. Obviously, your bank account and any other account that has financial information, like a loan account or mortgage, or things that have sensitive information, the stronger the passwords, the better. But I would also say that even any other account that you create, we have to create accounts for everything. I realize that sometimes it's hard to create strong passwords for all of them. But I can tell you that it's very easy for hackers to guess passwords, because if one of your passwords is compromised, let's say in a data breach, and then you use that same password for your bank account, then that's it. Your password has been compromised. So it's just best to use strong passwords and different passwords for different accounts, even if you think that it's an account that no one is going to care about, because hackers are looking for that kind of information. Another advice is to share personal information carefully. Don't give information unless you know exactly who's asking and why. We see a lot of scammers cold calling, saying that they are, like I said, with the government, or that there's a problem with, your electricity, or, just randomly calling and scaring people into giving them payment and giving them personal information. So before you give personal information, just make sure that you know who you're talking to and why is it that they need that information. And if they ask for your social security, stop and talk to somebody else about the situation to see if this is really necessary that you give your social security number. Don't click on links that are sent in unsolicited emails or text messages. I talked a little bit about this already with phishing schemes. We're seeing now a lot of text messages, especially where people get a text message from maybe it looks like it's a company that they know, or maybe it's just something that where they are like just phishing to see if you click on the link. So before you click, stop, think about it, because a lot of this scammers, what they want is for you to react right away, not to think about it, and just click on the link and boom, they already have you. Either they download something on your phone or on your computer that could be tracking you to steal your password, to steal any personal information that you have on your computer, or they could even just ask you for payment, and that way they get your credit card, even if it sounds like it's a payment for a small amount of money. You're giving your credit card, now they have that information and they can use it to commit a crime and to get buy things, using your financial information. Make sure that you monitor financial statements and also your credit report. That is a really good way to reduce your risk of identity theft, because if you're constantly watching what your financial statements say, then you can right away spot if you see that there's something that you didn't authorize. And if it's on your credit card statement, you can call your credit card company and say, hey, I see something that I didn't authorize, and claim it and put a claim about that. And that is going to help you right away spot if there's a problem that someone is using your financial information and your credit card. And the same thing with the credit report. You can go to annualcreditreport.com and check weekly, actually, for free until the end of this year. So you can check as often as you want, once a week, your credit report to make sure that what is recorded there is actually your information, and that no one is using your social security number to open new accounts or to do something else that it doesn't belong to you. I already mentioned about shredding documents. I think I've been talking about shredding documents for a long time, and it still is true. If you have paper documents at home that you don't need anymore, that have sensitive information, please shred them, because there could be someone out there looking for that information if you don't securely dispose of it. One thing I want to mention are fraud alerts and credit freezes, because this is another important proactive way to protect against identity theft. These two things sound alike, but they work in different ways. And I'm not going to go through the full slide. You can go to ftc.gov/ID theft to get more information and specifics on fraud alerts and credit freezes. But basically, your personal situation will determine which of these things is right for you. You may want to think about a credit freeze if your social security number or other information has been exposed in a data breach, for example, or if it's been misused by an identity thief, like if you've experienced full identity theft where someone has taken your information and has opened accounts, you may want to consider a credit freeze. But for credit freeze. But for everybody else, maybe a fraud alert is enough. That can give you just an extra peace of mind. So, it just depends on what your situation is, and, which one do you want to use? So make sure that you check out the FTC resources at ftc.gov/ID theft to find out more about that. So now I've given you advice on protecting from identity theft, but now how do you spot and avoid tax identity theft specifically? And the number one piece of advice is file your taxes as early as possible. As I mentioned, tax identity thieves want your social security, in order to either file taxes on your behalf and steal your refund, or to use it for work, to get work. And then that income, those earnings will be recorded in your record with the IRS. So by filing early, you can spot right away if there's a problem, and then you have time to fix it. If you can take some steps, and also if you file early, and no one else can do it for you. Like no one else can take your information and file taxes because you've already done it. So you would be ahead of potential identity thieves. So that is my number one piece of advice on how to spot and avoid tax identity theft. File taxes as early as possible. So I mentioned imposter scams earlier, so let's talk a little bit about that. Scammers pretend to be from the IRS to steal your money and your personal information. This slide, you can see sort of like an example. They may send a tax message that says something like, you have a tax rebate, click on this link. So as I mentioned a few times, it is really important to stop before you click on any links like that, especially if it's unsolicited, you weren't expecting it. You will know that this is a scammer because one, they'll ask you to pay. They give you a link because once you click on that link, they'll ask you to pay something, or because if there is a problem with your tax refund, this is not how the IRS is going to contact you. They're not going to send you a text message. They're not going to call you on the phone. So as I'll explain in a moment, if you filed your taxes online and someone else has already done it in your behalf, for example, if there's a problem with your refund, then you won't be able to submit your taxes electronically. And then also, basically, the system just won't let you. And also, if you filed by mail, the IRS, and there's a problem, turns out that there's a problem, the IRS will send you a letter. They're not going to call you. They're not going to send you a text message. And they will never ask you to confirm your identity, like by giving them, all the information. And also by paying. The scammers usually ask you to pay by credit, they ask you to pay by cryptocurrency. They ask you to pay by gift card, and those are all signs of a scam because the government, the IRS, or any other federal agency is ever going to call you to ask you to pay in those ways. So those are some signs that you are dealing with an IRS impersonator, and it's best to not answer the text and hang up the phone if it's a phone call. So now what to do if identity theft happens to you. So if someone uses your Social Security to file taxes, for example, what you do is, as I mentioned, if you file by mail, the IRS will mail you a letter explaining that they received more than one return in your name and that there's a problem, and they'll tell you some instructions on how to contact them. So follow the instructions on the letter. If you try to submit your tax return online, as I mentioned, or through a tax preparer, the IRS will reject that return as a duplicate filing. So the system won't let you, file. So then that way you know that there is a problem. And at that point, you should go to identitytheft.gov to report it. At identitytheft.gov is a federal government website managed by the Federal Trade Commission. It's a one-stop resource for people who have experienced identity theft, including tax identity theft. We encourage people as a first step to go to identitytheft.gov because many people can handle things on their own using the advice and the recovery plan that they'll get at identitytheft.gov. And so you can do it for free, and most people can resolve their situation by following the recovery plan that they'll get at that website. Now, I just want to say as a side that if you haven't gotten a letter from the IRS saying that there's a problem with your taxes, but you think that someone is using your Social Security number for work, you go to the Social Security website and review your Social Security work history to make sure if you suspect that something is wrong. At the Social Security website, you can create an account and then see, what's recorded on your work history. And then if you see that there's a problem, you can go to identitytheft.gov and report it, and then also get recovery help, steps to recover. You can always go to a Social Security office, of course, to try to then talk to someone and solve your situation. And you can find on the Social Security Administration's website the location of all the offices. So let me tell you a little bit more about identitytheft.gov, because it's really a wonderful resource for people who have experienced identity theft. Once you are at the site, you'll go through a series of questions to describe what happened. And if you think that you've experienced tax identity theft, the website will help you complete the form that you need to send to the IRS to report the problem. So that our systems are connected. Okay, so if you want to submit the form to the IRS directly from identitytheft.gov, you can do that. So it's really a one-stop source. At the end, when you finish reporting your identity theft problem and submitting the form to the IRS, if that was the type of identity theft that you experienced, you'll get some specific steps to help you resolve any other issues that the identity theft may have caused. Like, for example, if people open accounts in your name, or if there's another problem with a problem in your credit report or anything like that. So the system will give you specific steps that you can take to resolve your situation. It takes time and it takes effort, but you can do it. And the plan that you get from identitytheft.gov will really help you. And the great thing is that you can create an account so you can go back to your plan. Okay, so you can check items like, okay, I already did this, I already did that, and kind of keep track of your progress that way. The system will also even send you reminders if you provide an email address. So it's really good to create an account and kind of take control of the steps that you need to take that way. Here I just have some of the other resources that we have available for free. So you can order at bulkorder.ftc.gov any of these identity theft publications, one specifically on child identity theft, one specifically for military, our general identity theft guidance, and our guidance on medical identity theft if that happens to you. A lot of it is about, what to do, what to know, how to protect yourself, how to reduce your risks. And so we really encourage you to go to bulkorder.ftc.gov. If you're interested in these publications, you can order them for free. You'll get them in print. It's 3 to 4 weeks after you order, and you can also share them then with other people that you know, or if you are a person that participates in events or presentations, you can distribute this material as well to help others in your community be aware about identity theft and what to do in case something happens. And lastly, I'll leave you with two important websites. ftc.gov/consumer alerts is where you can go to subscribe to receive our consumer alerts. Every time that we know about scams, about problems in the marketplace, we want to alert people with advice on what to do. So keep in touch by signing up to receive our consumer alerts. And then you can also visit consumer.ftc.gov, which is where we have all our consumer articles and blog posts, videos, infographics, and social media graphics that you can share through your social media channels, and you can share with people that you know in your community to help them also be on the alert of fraud and scam and protect themselves from identity theft. And with that, Linda, if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
No questions, but my goodness, Rosario, thank you and the FTC for such great information. Audience, please share the information that Rosario presented today with your client communities. Give them the opportunity, give them a chance to protect themselves from identity theft and tax-related identity theft. Now, you're only a click away if you're interested in more information on scams and identity theft. Just go to our website at www.consumer-action.org. For an example, you can download our ID theft PowerPoint deck, which is loaded. It lays out some of the different forms of identity theft. It explains those different forms, how they occur, and what to do if you are a victim. In addition, you can sign up for our monthly Scamgram newsletters, which will keep you abreast of the latest scams that's circulating out there, so you can avoid those scams. And the one brochure that I believe should be in everyone's home in America is our How to Complain booklet. Let's face it, sometimes we get so angry we forget how to complain. If you want to learn how to complain to get results, download that booklet today and share it with someone that you love. Now, if you would like to contribute to consumer action, it's really easy. You can do so. You can go online and use your credit card or by PayPal at www.consumer-org/giving, or you can mail a check to us at Consumer Action, Attention Membership Giving, 57 Post Street, Suite 611, San Francisco, California. If you don't have a check, no worries. You can still support us by subscribing to our YouTube channel. It's free and it would help us continue to bring you these segments on various consumer issues throughout 2023. Thank you again for tuning in today as we observe Identity Theft Awareness Week.